The ninth configuration, I saw the title and became immediately curious. And then I saw the director and was like, hmm. And it's William Peter Blatty. Now, he is famous for writing The Exorcist, and he directed Exorcist 3. Now, as far as his writing style is concerned, he actually have read, I don't remember where I read this, that he was actually a comedy writer. And after The Exorcist, he became kind of famous, and there was a comedy, and they were pitching writers to write this comedy in Hollywood at one studio. And someone said, "Hey, let's get William Peter Blatty." And they said, "Well, he's a horror writer." And he said, "Well, no, he's a comedy writer." And they were like, "No, he does horror." And just like this writing skill, apparently, it's sort of the movie The Exorcist works. It ended up working against him. And so he ended up directing Exorcist 3. Now, there's some similarities between the ninth configuration and The Exorcist 3. On one hand, I'm going to provide in the link a trailer to the movie, and you'll see it has kind of that Exorcist kind of feel. It's kind of creepy, and the movie is sort of a mix of being horror comedy, but it's you know it's a serious horror and yet also a comedy. If that sounds bad, it's not great. Okay. And then it also has some bizarre Christian apologetics in there. Particularly, it's offering some theodicies. So or I guess a theodicy. It's actually fair the way they deal with that for the most part. But what stood out for me was two things. One is that the dialogue, he uses such exquisite language in the dialogue that it's just not the way people talk. It's very unnatural. Carrie Fisher was really good at writing dialogue. She was a script doctor for a while. And I heard an interview with her on Fresh Air on NPR, which was a fascinating interview. She was a really interesting person. And her take on dialogue was always about things about being more natural, repeating yourself and talking over each other. And I remember her just talking about dialogue, and I learned a lot from her. And Blatty's such a good writer, you can tell. He's just a good writer, but you can't have characters speaking this way. It just doesn't work. Additionally, there's a major plot twist that I thought, like Shutter Island and Jacob's Ladder, had really interesting plot twists, and they were similar in the way they conducted their plot twists. With the ninth configuration, the plot twist is told to you. I mean, that just doesn't cut it. In movies, you have to show the movie. You don't tell people your movie. You show them the movie, and you show them as much as you possibly can. And exposition should be very cleverly hidden, or not done at all if possible. David Lynch is known for using moments of exposition to inspire him to do some pretty odd stuff. It's pretty interesting. So I felt that Blatty's own writing prowess kind of worked against him in this movie. The second thing I'll say about him that I mentioned earlier, two things about him, is as in Exorcist 3, there's just some scenes that are just out of place. It's like the tone doesn't work. It's all of a sudden out of the blue. I remember there was a scene in Exorcist 3. I won't go into it, but it's really good. It's a creepy scene. But then a friend of mine was watching. He's like, "That looks like it doesn't even belong in the movie." And I thought about it. I was like, you know what? He's right. It doesn't really look like it belongs in this movie. And that happens a lot in ninth configuration. It's just it doesn't meld or gel together very well. Additionally, you have all these characters. It's basically all these insane characters again, right? It's an insane asylum, basically, foreboding, creepy castle. And which you almost have to have that to make this what it is, right? Horror comedy, serious horror movie, and yet a comedy almost has to be that. So these characters are insane. So I guess that's why the dialogue is the way it is, although some characters who aren't insane are talking that way. And if you try to give me a plot twist with this kind of crazy stuff going on, you got a lot of crazy, weird stuff going on. When you deliver the punch of a plot twist, it's going to fall flat. So that's what I mean by unbalanced. The movie is just unbalanced. Just some scenes come out of the blue, and it might be good scenes in of themselves. And some of the apologetic stuff, as someone who loves Christian apologetics, you'd think I'd like them, but truth be told, they just were out of place. They didn't, they weren't even necessarily all that good apologetics either, to be honest with you, but it's fine, whatever. And that made the movie again another more out of place scenes. So I don't know. I don't want to spend too much more time rambling on this. I will say I don't know how to express the comedy other than say, like, it's something like this. Okay, your mom's so lazy that she got arrested for loitering at work. That's not in the movie. I made that up, but that's what comedy is. I'm trying to give you an example of comedy, and that's my example. Now, I think now if you went and watched the movie, you might go, hey, this is actually funny compared to that review I saw earlier. That's the whole point of comedy like that. But anyway, I just didn't think it was unfortunate. I thought the movie had a lot of potential, and I think William Peter Blatty he might have passed, probably has. He was immensely talented, in my opinion, but none of it translated, unfortunately. You should watch the trailer. It's actually quite interesting. It definitely does its job of making you want to see the movie, but I'm not sure you're going to want, or that you should. I mean, unless you just love movies. If you just love movies, you should see it. No, certainly. Probably watch it for free somewhere. I'm sure it's old and, like a B movie. All right. If you do see it, hope you enjoy it, and hope you have a high tolerance for a lot of odd scenes that are not necessarily odd in a good way. Oh, I give the movie 2 stars. It was entertaining. I mean, entertaining to me in that it was kind of strange, and I kind of like that, but it was also a little slow. But 2 stars, I'll go with that.